Well, we meet again, dear fiends. I hope you brought your appetites, because tonight's tasteless tidbit is something I'm sure you'll savor. It's about a man who's digging a well, and he finds something strange. I call this adventure in fine dining, Thanks.
There was a man and a woman who lived on a rundown farm in the middle of nowhere. The husband was a mean and grumpy old man who took pleasure in making his wife's life miserable. He seldom spoke to her, and when she said anything, he would tell her to just shut up. One day, the man was digging a well on his property, and his wife was helping him. All of a sudden, the bottom dropped out of the deep hole. The man was puzzled and wanted to see what happened, so he told his wife to go back into the house and fetch a flashlight. She came back running with it. He switched the flashlight on, tied a rope, and lowered it down into the hole. It went down and down and down. But no matter how much rope he let out, it never seemed to reach the bottom. The man started pulling the rope back up, but it got caught on something. He started pulling on it, but it felt like something was pulling back. Frustrated, the man gave it a big tug, and suddenly, the rope was almost yanked out of his hands. Eventually, he managed to pull the rope up, but when he got to the end of it, the flashlight was gone. Instead, there was a small white pouch attached to it. With trembling hands, he opened it, and to his surprise, a chunk of gold tumbled out along with a handwritten note. He picked up the note and tried to read it, but it was written in a language he couldn't decipher, so he just tossed it away. He told his wife he was going to town to buy more flashlights and ordered her to keep an eye on the hole while he was away. As soon as he was gone, she hurried back into the house and rummaged through the cupboards looking for a dictionary. Then she took a big piece of ham out of the fridge. She also grabbed a pen and paper and wrote a note. When she returned to the hole, she put all these items in the bucket, tied it to the rope, and she lowered it down. The woman waited for a while, and she pulled the rope back up. It seemed much heavier, and twice she had to stop and take a rest. When she finally hauled the bucket back up, she was so shocked to see that it was filled to the brim with sparkling jewels. There was another note in it this time. It was in English. It read, "Send more food." She hurried back into the house and hid the jewels, where she was sure her husband wouldn't find them. When the man returned, the back of his pickup truck was filled with flashlights. He put a few of them in the bucket and lowered them down. But when he pulled the rope back up, he was outraged to find that the bucket wasn't filled with gold or jewels. It was just broken flashlights. He flew into a violent rage, stomping on the remains of the flashlights and cussing at the top of his lungs. Then he ran back into the house and fetched his shotgun. He told his wife he was going to go down into the hole and give them a piece of his mind. She begged him not to go, but he was so furious he wouldn't listen. He attached a big oil drum to the winch on the back of his truck, and then he climbed into the drum. He gave his wife orders to lower him down, and after 10 minutes bring him back up again. She threw the switch, and a man was lowered down into the oil drum. The woman stared at her watch as 10 whole minutes passed. Then she flicked the switch and watched the winch begin to bring the oil drum back up to the surface. She peered into the drum, but her husband wasn't there. Instead, it was filled with gold bars, jewelry, and coins. Sitting on the top was another note. It read, "Thanks for the meat."
Well, I sure hope that monster doesn't get an upset tummy by eating that sour man. I guess it really pays to be kind to all, eh, kiddos? Do you know what monsters order with a sandwich? Coleslaw! I'll see you next week for some more scary tales. Scream me later, and remember to stay creepy.